Order accepted.
This video is part of a tutorial series on creep spread. Click the links on the screen if you want to skip this video and watch one more relevant to you. Creep spread starts with the queen spawning the initial tumor, which begins filling a 10 range radius of creep around it. It takes 15 seconds to complete and become invisible, and another 15 seconds before it can spawn another creep tumor. However, there is a hidden time cost because the creep does not begin its 15-second building timer until the animation for the creep spread reaches the new tumor location, which takes longer the further away the new tumor is. All in all, a full creep spread sequence takes about 31 in-game seconds on average for a single creep tumor. For perspective, one inject cycle takes about 42 seconds on average. When spreading creep, always go to the very edge of the creep in that moment. This is more important than doing it as fast as possible. Firstly, because if you practice being accurate, your speed will naturally increase. Secondly, the extra time it takes you to place your creep on the very edge only gives you a slight disadvantage if you're spreading the creep always as soon as it's possible to spread creep. Perfect creep spread would both be accurate, fast, and consistently spread every 31 or so seconds, but since it's nearly impossible, even for Scarlet, whose dominating creep spread games only peak at about 70% of what is optimal, it's better to focus on accuracy for both the long-term and the short-term benefits. Another question often raised about creep spread is, should creep be spread as soon as possible, or should it be spread once the creep is finished spreading in that area? To start, it's useful to know that creep spreads faster where the circles of creep overlap. So, if we were to have a single tumor and spread it as soon as possible, it would produce more creep faster than if we waited to spread at maximum range. This is because the parent tumor's creep circle overlaps that of the new creep tumor. However, it takes a significantly higher amount of attention and APM. Attention is often the biggest limiting factor when it comes to spreading creep. What we can take away from this analysis is that you should spread creep as often as your attention allows. Next up is density. The more tumors in an area, the faster creep spreads. But there comes a point where the speed of the creep is useless because the cooldown for the tumor has yet to finish. This point for adjacent tumors is 4. 5 adjacent tumors will finish spreading creep before it's possible to spread creep again, making the 5th tumor useless. However, if you leave a 1 tumor gap in between each tumor, any number of tumors can be used and none will be useless. Terrain is also something important to understand when spreading creep. Creep tumors can be spread on ramps, but when going up a ramp, it can only go as far as vision allows. This is where it's useful to have a spotter, such as an overlord or queen, to ensure maximum efficiency. The same principle applies to line of sight blockers, like the smoke in Daybreak. However, instead of it being useful to have a spotter in this scenario, it's necessary. Creep cannot pass through line of sight blockers without vision. Sometimes creep will not spread from high to low ground and vice versa. Fortunately, this is a predictable effect. Creep will spread from one level of high ground to another when the tumor radius reaches a ramp or when there is creep from another source, such as an overlord or nidus worm. But remember, spreading creep still requires vision, and vision comes from the tumor, not the creep. So keep your spotter in the area until you've spread the creep. This same technique can be used to jump gaps with creep, like on the new 2015 Season 1 map, Vani Research Station. Next up, we'll go over some situational but effective creep spread tricks.